Greetings one and all. I made it in one piece. How's everybody doing this evening? It's Tuesday, I think. It's Tuesday, yeah. We are getting underway, macro talk, and I've got a lot to talk about. There seems to be a massive delay, for me anyway, probably not for you. But yeah, we'll deal with that however we have to. Welcome everybody. Who do I see here? Robert is here. Greetings in Ocala, Robert. Hope everything's going well for you down there. Robert, how are you? Storos, that is. Glad you made it. And from Vienna, they make sausages there. They're called Vienna sausages though. Is Chris. Greetings, my friend. How are you? Oh, you got a 5 times Mitutoyo today. Isn't it a wonderful thing? Does your jar squeak when you open it? Mine drives me absolutely batty. It makes so much noise. Anyway, it is absolutely the most wonderful lens. I think you're going to thoroughly enjoy it. It's big though for a microscope objective, isn't it? It's a whopper. Lovely though. Fantastic. Walter, right in there with a question. Good for you, Walter. Still looking for a base for your macro photography rig. The base will be placed on a tabletop. Well, yeah, I would go get it, but I've been told not to do that because I'll just get distracted and never come back. I bought a piece of marble the other day. I just happened to come across it. It's about 2 feet by 2.5 feet, something like that. Weighs a ton. That would be a good base. If you can afford it, a 1/2-inch slab of aluminum would be even better. If you can't afford any of those things, do what I do and just get a nice piece of hardwood. In fact, plywood's best because plywood doesn't warp like solid wood does. But a big chunk of wood is fine. You know, the most important thing is that your table that you put it on has to be stable. If the table isn't stable, the whole thing's going to wobble anyway, so it doesn't matter what you put on it. The weight only really helps if you've got a stable base, but if the base is stable, and you need to be good with tools if you're getting marble, because you're going to want to drill holes in it, and that's not easy material to work with. Wood is a lot easier. Aluminium's easier too than marble, I would imagine, but you've still got to know what you're doing. So yeah, one of those three ought to do it. Or you could just drill holes in the dining room table. I've done that before too, on accident. But yeah, anybody else got any ideas? Chime in. But those are the main ones I would think of. All right, Mike, what's going on? Mike built a stand like the one I showed. Yep, that was a long time ago now. They've invented metal since then. But it's plywood. Yep, and it does work. It really does. I know that Rick's got a solid aluminum base that, yeah, that's something that one day I will have. That's what I aspire to get. Graham in the UK has one as well, but he's put his aluminum base on an anti-vibration table, a dampening table. Boy, that would be the best. I was going to get one in Boston because a viewer found one that was on sale for a good price in Boston, where I'm going to be in a week. And yeah, I thought that would be fantastic. I'll just pick it up and bring it back. But I discovered that there's a weight limit going back on the plane, and it's under 1,000 pounds. And that's for the bags. So I figured I'd probably not get that. Not this trip anyway. It's a bit heavy. Some of the stuff I want to talk about tonight is, well, Boston is one of them. I'm going to talk about ChatGPT in a positive light for a change, just once. And then I want to tell you about something that's coming up this weekend. It's for Patreon folks, but I want it to be for everybody. So think about it. Then I'm going to tell you a little bit of my backstory that I haven't told before. And I probably shouldn't tell, but I'm going to anyway. And then I'm going to ask you to help me make a final decision on this printer. I've got it narrowed down to 3, and I'm going to ask you to cast your vote. If you know anything about printers, if you have one, if you were bitten by one as a child, it doesn't matter. Any opinion you have would be welcome, because I've got it narrowed down to the 3 and I just need to make my mind up. Okay, I was saying hi. I'll continue by saying hi to Larry, who's in the Chicago area, which I believe is near Chicago, right? In Illinois. Yes, well, good for you. That's a nice town, that. I like that. I like that town. Better than Boston. Yeah, I mean, the last time I was in Boston, I was vomiting a lot. I was running in the Boston Marathon. It was the last marathon that I ever ran, and there was a good reason for it. Yeah, there's a place there called Wrigley Field. Some sport gets played there, but you learn to hate that thing if you run the marathon, because it seems to be all uphill to get to it. Anyway, you don't care about that, do you? No, I don't blame you. We're also going to talk about photographing chips, because I invented something this weekend. In fact, I invented several things, and one of them I think is going to catch on. Might make me famous. Probably not, but it might. Who else is here? Let me see. Oakbrook Terrace. Are you sure that's in Chicago? I think that's in Alabama. You better check your map. Bruce is here. G'day, Bruce. And Bruce, the thing that we didn't even talk about is going to be mailed to you before I leave for Boston. So you shall get it. In fact, so will your granddaughters. It's complicated. Patrick, how's it going, my friend? Let me see. Andrew, how's Minnesota? Has the snow melted yet? No, probably not. It's not August yet, but it will. Hang in there. And Alistair, Carlisle, what's up? Good. Let me see. Phoenix, Arizona is hot and sunny as always. And Susan is in our Huntsville office, keeping tabs of everything up there. Hey, Susan, how are you? Toluca, greetings, Paul and Bud. Bud is one of our intrepid monitors who will no doubt set the robots on you if you misbehave. So he has a keen eye for that kind of thing. So take great care. Let me see. Seabell's from Trinidad, and my goodness, it's only 25 degrees there. That must be freezing for Trinidad. Oh, centigrade. That's a good bit warmer. Phil, welcome from California, my friend. Raining again, eh? Biblical almost. Yeah, my brother said it was raining in California, and they have a song about it never raining in Southern California, but that's not true. I've discovered it's patently untrue. All right, Jan is here, and that's good, because Jan needs to be here to witness the vote today. So you better pick up on my vibes in the direction I'm pushing you in on this vote. All right, greetings, David. How's Winthrop, Maine? Cold, right? Yeah. Okay, always will be. And let me see, who else has snuck in? Rob, greetings. New Zealand. Is it tomorrow already in New Zealand? It must be. It must be already tomorrow afternoon. That's ridiculous. That's so far away. You should move closer. I think so. Yeah, definitely. All right. Now, let me see. Some of the stuff I wanted to talk to you about. Hang on a second. Ricardo's here from Brazil. I don't believe we've had anybody from Brazil yet. Welcome, Ricardo. I'm glad you made it. That's fantastic. We've got several other South American visitors, but nobody from Brazil. So, the Boston trip. I want to say something positive about ChatGPT. I was in a terrible rush today. I had so much stuff to do. I'm always in a rush, but this was worse than usual. I've lost my piece. No, there it is. So one of the things I had to do was make a sensible packing list for my trip to Boston. I'm going up there to shoot a band recording an album. And I'll be doing it in a recording practice place as well as in a recording studio, maybe also in a concert hall. And it's all going to be dark, and as these things tend to be. And I need to shoot video, I need to shoot stills, I have a good idea of what I wanted to do, but what throws a spanner in the works of all of this is I have to go on an aeroplane to get there, because I discovered it's too far to walk. When I looked it up on the map program, it said 2 hours, and I thought, no problem, I'll just drag my stuff. 2 hours, anybody can walk that. That meant including the plane. So I had to get on ChatGPT because I didn't have the time to do it. And I told it what I was going to do, shoot the concert or shoot the recording session, but I had to get on a plane. Give me a list, make it as light as possible. And it absolutely rocked me back on my heels. It was so clever. It got everything right and thought of a bunch of stuff I hadn't thought of, and gave me advice. Yeah, good advice. To photograph a band in the studio while traveling light, you'll need a compact and portable equipment that can deliver good quality results, both stills and video. Here's a list of the things I think are essential. It's calling itself I. That is a worrying sign. Camera, it wanted me to choose a Sony A7C or a Canon EOS R or a Fujifilm X-T4. I don't have any of those. So I fired it. Number 2, bring 1 or 2 lenses that cover a range of focal distances, all right? A standard zoom, 24-70, and a prime lens. I disagree with that. I want a 70-200 for that kind of thing, so I can get in there close. But otherwise pretty good. A tripod or a monopod. An external microphone. Yeah, that's a good point, because I want to pick up some of the sound with, yeah, right, makes sense. So I added that to the list. Memory cards, batteries, portable LED lighting, camera bag, lens cleaning kit, and on and on and on. Several things it didn't have, but most of them it did, including a flash hard drive. But it knows computers. It is one, so it knows exactly what you need. I was really impressed. The thing that really impressed me was I had this list in 2 minutes. It took me longer to figure out why my piece of paper only printed in magenta. Turns out all my ink cartridges were empty on this other printer. So that was the longest time for the whole thing, was figuring out the magenta typing. Now I've broken the printer trying to clean the print head, so that's another story for another day. So there you go. It's the only positive thing I'm going to say. Otherwise, it's all doom and gloom and probably the end of the world. But for my trip, it came in handy. Let's go ahead and do the vote thing, because I'm going to ask Bud to help me with this. And Bud, I know that you have an opinion about this, so you can't pad the votes. You only get one person only gets 1 vote. You can't give 3 to every time somebody says Prussia. But anyway, there are 3 finalists that are being considered, and I'm going to give you the key points of each and why they're in the final list. And all you have to do is just get in the chat thing there and say 1, 2, or 3. The number, a 1, a 2, or a 3. And Bud will add them up and then tell me what the numbers add up to, and then that'll be it. That'll be the end of that thing. Well, it won't be, because I'm going to do it again on Thursday. So here's the deal. The Qidi Tech, QIDI something or other like that, is a Chinese, I think, machine that I was interested in because a good friend of mine that you know Chris from the BBC who did the Green Planet. Yeah, you know him. We interviewed him here, and nice chap. And he does all of this making stuff. He's way better than me, and he uses a whole range of those printers. He's got a wall full of them, and he loves it. It's enclosed. It prints all kinds of weird materials that make noxious fumes. And he said that if you are, and I am, getting this as a tool, not as a hobby, then you need to look seriously at this particular model. But I've got a twist to that story that comes up in a minute. What was it? He also said something else about it. Yeah, that no, I've lost I've lost my notes from where I talked to him. But the most important thing was he says most of the other printers just print ABS. No, not ABS. P something or other. PTL. Parent Teacher League. No, something like that. PTA. No. The regular plastic. He said that's great for printing stuff like statues and decorative things. But if you're printing parts for machines, you need to be able to print in ABS and polycarb and PETG and things like that. Not carbon, because that would put it in a different league. So he said Kiddie Tech, think about it. Now, the Kiddie Tech that he recommended was about $500, which is right there in the ballpark. It's actually, yeah. I turned the page. There we are. Yeah, it was right just under $500. The second one is the Bamboo Labs PIP 3D. Now, this is a bit more expensive. It's $700, but it is apparently the fastest 3D printer that you can currently buy. It comes in an enclosure, so the noxious fumes won't kill you as quickly. And it stays warm inside, so you can print with just about everything, including carbon. But most importantly, it does print polycarbonate and things like that that are difficult otherwise to do. The most positive recommendation I got from this was also from Chris, who said that if he had to do it again, that's what he would get, because he's talked to a lot of people in the business who make stuff for their professional jobs, make parts that they need, and they swear by this. Now, it's a bit more expensive. It's $700 for their baseline model, but it comes already assembled, and I watched a video on getting it out and starting it up, and it looks pretty straightforward. It's got basically every feature that you want. A hot end that's all metal, that's a good thing. The enclosure, a heated base, that type of thing. It's got them all, and that's the PIP 3D if you want to look it up. $700. That's number 2 if you're going to vote for that one. Number 2. The third is the Prusa i3 Mark III's, which is the one that Bud uses. It's very nice, very capable, but it doesn't have an enclosure. So in order to print with ABS or PETG or polycarb, I'd need to build an enclosure or buy an enclosure. They're $200 or $300 extra to have one of those. Now, it only costs $800. I say only, it costs $800 is what I meant to say, and you have to put it together. You can pay more than that, and they'll put it together for you. And the advice I got from Chris was, well, if you're doing it, if it's a hobby, if you want to have it to play around with, then yeah, put it together yourself. It'll be fun. But if you want to make parts, just have them do it, because they're professionals. They know what they're doing. And I thought, well, yeah, he's probably right. But anyway, they're the choices. That Prusa's number 3. The 3S is number 3. So they're the ones I narrowed it down to. I looked at the Creality, Ender, and a few others, and none of them had everything that I think I'm going to need. And it came down to these 3. And yeah, I'm not going to tell you which of the 3, like number 2, would be my favorite. You have to just decide what you think is best for me, number 2. Okay, all right. So Bud's going to add up the votes for number 2 and the votes for the other ones, and then we'll know what we're doing after that. Okay, perfect. And oh wow, would you look at that? A lot of interest in number 2, which is amazing and surprising. Who could have guessed? Somebody was just thinking, I could tell because I'm psychic, why aren't we seeing transitions like you used to be good at that? Yeah, well, I am. I'm going to do that now because I've got the microscope working. And this is a chip, because this is going to be a subject I'm going to talk about right now. I know we've been here before, we've talked about chips before, but some things happened this weekend that I count as partially discoveries and partly just learning it from somebody who's a better photographer than I am. But stuff that's so interesting that I've been re-energized by this whole chip photography thing, and I came up with a few ideas of my own, and I wanted to share them with you in case you could get excited about it. So the deal was, I've been doing chip photography for a long time, and you know, it gets kind of boring after a while because you just see chips, lots of chips. And I had tried to do stereo chips about 6 months ago, and it didn't work. I couldn't get them to really get 3D enough. But Rick was able to do that, and he showed me these pictures that he took on Wednesday last week. And it immediately got me fired up to try to replicate his work. But I couldn't get the same pictures he did. I'll show you a couple of my pictures. In fact, let me open Lightroom here for just a second, and I'll show you a couple of the ones that I got, and then a couple of the things that I came up with instead. So this is an example of one of my stereo shots. This is a parallel shot, so you need glasses to see this. But this is just an ordinary chip that I shot in stereo, and you can see that these light-colored bands are actually on a layer above the substrate, so you can start to see the 3D effect there. It's not super impressive, but it was a decent start. Let me see. Here's another pair. This was a little bit better. If you've got glasses, you can really see. This looks like a big office building or something sticking up in the air, and this looks like a deep well on this side. These are on different levels, and you can really appreciate it with the glasses. So I did this and was having a good time with it, but I started thinking about this is a lovely chip, by the way. This really, with the glasses again, shows the lovely depth that you can get, because this thing really pops out of the screen, and I love the colors and everything in the gold and the pinks on it. So very, very nice. Even my Q-tip, which snagged on one of the wires, looks cool, I think. I think there may be one or two other ones. Yeah, this was one that had a chip out of it, but the chip looked cool as well. It looks like a ski slope coming off one edge. But again, if you have glasses, you can see a lot of the depth here, and you can see how the chip is made by lithography, put down in layers. But what I started thinking was, in order to shoot these, you have to tilt the subject and light them in a very specific way to really accentuate the 3D-ness of it. And I wasn't having as much luck with that as Rick was. Well, not luck. He was doing it right, and I was doing it my way. And that's when I had this idea, and that's what I want to show you is the idea, because I started thinking about, well, what about if there was a way to shoot these things in 2D that would give you a similar experience of the dynamic feel of them, you know, the thickness and what they look like. So I thought, well, obviously the way you do that would be to shoot it from the side, but you can't shoot these things from the side because they're at a few millimeters across, and at 1 micron per step, you're not going to get much depth. So I started experimenting with it, and the first thing I did was a more traditional stereo shot again, but from the edge. And this was just to show what the silicone looks like, how thick it is compared to the metal base plate that it's on. And then the actual business end of the chip is just the very top lining on the right here. That's where all the circuits are, is in that top layer. Now, I like this because it looks very dynamic as 3D, but what I wanted to do was get that same feel without having to put on glasses or shoot stereo. And before I get to any of the pictures, or the one or two pictures that I've got, I'm going to change gears for just a second to show you how I got the pictures first, because this is the bit that's interesting, I think. So what I did was I started using Bondic in a way that I hadn't used before. Does everybody know what Bondic is? This is Bondic. It's a liquid plastic that comes in these little black tubes. It's liquid, it stays liquid forever until it sees ultraviolet light. When it sees ultraviolet light, it turns into a solid, crystal clear, very hard plastic. And this is the stuff. A tube of this lasts me forever, and I use it for a lot of different things. So what I did was I tried, first of all, before I even started inventing stuff, I built something, because I'm using microscope slides to hold the chips. So I made a microscope slide holding box that would keep them separated and upright. This is very cool. Isn't that nice? Yeah, so I can put loads of chips on the same slide, like that. And the Bondic, of course, is what holds them on the slide. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but all I do is put a drop of the Bondic on the slide, and then while it's still liquidy, I drop my chip right directly on top of it, and then zap it with some ultraviolet light. And thanks to a lucky mistake, and this is what they look like, if we were to just take this slide and stick it under the microscope, then you can see what the image looks like. I can't move it looking at the screen because it's all backwards. Oh, apparently I can't do it with my eyes either, but yeah. So it's in mounting these, I made a couple of mistakes, and the mistakes were serendipitous, because as I dropped the chip on the Bondic, it didn't hit the center of my mound of Bondic. It kind of drifted off to one side at an angle, and I had already turned on the UV light, so it's set in that position. And it suddenly occurred to me, why don't I build up exactly the angle and shape for the chip that I want, so that I can then position it on the microscope stage, on the photography stage, and get whatever kind of angle that I want. And that's when I came up with this kind of thing, which I don't know if you're going to be able to even see this. I think possibly you can. I might hold it up in front of the computer. Yeah. Now, if you look at it, you'll see that the chip is actually up on its side now, and it's got a little bolus of Bondic holding it on either side. It's just your imagination will determine. Yeah, maybe under the microscope at low power you'll be able to see that a little bit better. Let me try that. Just bear with me. It really is hard to use the microscope backwards. There we go. So that's it. Hang on. Let me try to get it in focus for you. That's it on the slide. I don't know why I'm not able to get it in focus. Let me try something else. Maybe if I just leave it alone and focus it. So the point is this, that the Bondic acts as a support mechanism for the chip in any position you want to put it in. And in this case, I put it as a shelf. And then I shot that from head on so that I could have my lighting coming in the way I would be used to it. Here's one that might be a bit easier to see. Let me see if this helps. You're probably looking at those chips and saying, hey, Alan, you forgot to take the epoxy off them. No, this was the second revelation that I had. Let me tell you about that too before I show you the pictures, because chips are getting very, very difficult. Oh, blimey, this is hard to do upside down. That's better. No, it's not. Chips are getting very hard to remove from the capsules anymore, because they're so much smaller and so much thinner than they ever were. And here's the deal. A lot of the time you aren't going to get them off the epoxy, or the epoxy is not going to come off whole. And what I've done historically is throw them away because they're ruined. I mean, you can't see the surface of the chip, so you throw it away. But it occurred to me that some of the most interesting photographs actually had this stuff on top of them. In fact, the one that the picture that I don't have it because I'm not going to show it to you today, because it is I'm not through with it yet, and I want to save it for a special occasion. You know that Catalina, Apple's version that had the OS, that had the picture of the jutting out land into the sea, that beautiful view of that point? Well, I had a chip that looked just like that, except the point was a big old piece of the epoxy resin piled up, just like that point, going out into a sea of printed circuit. And it looked incredible. So I'll show you my the first couple of pictures that I took, and you know, they're not great by any means, but you'll get the feel for what I was doing. So here's one that this is actually looking across the surface of the edge of a chip. This is the cut edge. This is the actual edge of the silicone. This is the part that's basically sprayed on top with all the wires and everything in it. And these are just progressively higher layers on top of the layer before. And in the very background, you can see the cement rising up. This is the stuff that you uncap from the top. And if it doesn't come off, this is what you end up with. And I've never seen it like this before. Now, I think it's absolutely amazing. This is just one of the gold, the brass or gold-plated wires that comes out of the edge, and it looked like a fire going on over here. And with smoke, so I left it in. But it is amazing that some of the views you get are completely unexpected and quite gorgeous. Let me see. There may be another one. No, that's something else entirely. I can't remember if I took another one or not. You know, I don't think I did. It'll show up if I did. I didn't get a chance to hunt them all down because I've been a photographing nut job this weekend. I've been doing so many. Now I don't see it in Lightroom here, but I'll put them up on Discord. Anyway, it's a great trick. Get yourself some Bondic and give this a try, because this can be just some awesome fun. And I have got a lot of cool pictures to show you. There's something else I want to show you too. They're back. They're finally back. What a back, you say? The Weevils. My Weevils came back. Oh, I found the, yeah, hang on a sec. Hold that thought. I just found my pictures. There they are. They were sitting over there on the other screen waiting. I did a whole series on images that where the chip was ruined like this by the heat, and discovered that they have incredible patterns on them. And that was really unexpected. These reticulated branching patterns all over chips that had been overcooked, and I actually had several of those that I rather liked. Here's another one that's out of focus, but you'll get to see the rough idea. It's got this fiery copper coming through from the underneath. Makes that one's badly out of focus. Sorry about that. I may have one that's in focus. Yeah, here's another one that's an unusual pattern, and these are rejects. These are all chips that I would normally throw away. So these are not chips. These are beautiful little butterflies that I found when I was out driving home from the town over the bay thing yesterday, day before yesterday. And I stopped because I thought I saw the plant on which the weevils live. And I didn't find that plant right away, but I did find an interesting Scottish plant that must have got lost on its way to the Highlands. Beautiful thistle thing growing there in the bushes, and right next to it was the solitary, miserable little bush that here it is. Hang on. This tiny little bush right here that the weevils live on. See this green? It's not that. It's this in front of it. That is the entire Sestamibia plant. Nothing else on this causeway is the same plant, and that's the only plant these weevils live on. And I thought, well, there won't be any this year if that's the only growth in this whole area, and this is normally where the plant grows. But it was absolutely crawling with them, and they were all doing the same thing. This is a horrible picture. I'm sorry, it's taken with the phone. But yeah, they were all busily making little baby weevils for me to photograph. There were bunches of them. So that's a happy day to find that the weevils are back. It means that winter's over for us down here. Let me see. I had one other thing that I was going to show you. Nope, that was it on the pictures. Good. I'm glad we got that out of the way. I don't know what that's doing there. I did not bid that Oh, you can't even see that. Sorry, it was a long-legged fly just popped up on my screen unbidden. Craziness. Okay, so have you ever seen one of these before? I hadn't until they arrived. My friend Stuart uses these, and he was raving about them on his channel, and I thought, well, I'll have to give them a try. They're little, and they've got rubbery feet that don't fall off. They're not inserts. They're actually things. Like, see, they nope, there, they move. Nope. These things. So they grab on to whatever you're clamping. I love these clamps. I use them to hold my slides. Look. If you want to hold a slide but want to be able to change the position of it, by changing these little feet, you can do just that. You can change the angle that it holds the slide on your stage. So I could tilt it to get the effect that I wanted. These are great, and I got 4 of them for $20. That is $5 each. I asked ChatGPT to confirm that, and it is $5 each. There's probably a whole bunch of messages of people saying, we don't have any sound, you're off the air. Let me see. Okay. Chris says it looks like Leucoma salicis. Satin mouth. Are you talking about me? Oh no, he's talking about the moths that I showed you. Satin moths. Yeah, they could be. It looked like a lady and a man moth on the spiky plant. Yeah, exactly, Robert. The melty patterns do look like cantaloupe under a microscope. It's amazing how all this stuff is kind of related. Let me see. Number two, number three. Number three. Oh dear. Number three. Oh yeah. Robert is reminding me about the number three requires two beers for maintenance. There you go. Okay, well, fair enough. I'll accept that. Let me see. I'm going to go back to where I lost track of the comments here. I think I'll pick it up quite quickly. Yep, there we go. Oh, you thought I was talking about photo printers. No, 3D printers. I've got a photo printer. I've got a Canon Pro 100 or Pro 10 or Pro something or other. It is the best printer I've ever owned when it works. When it doesn't work, which is most of the time, it's the most frustrating machine I've ever owned because it just doesn't say, no, not working today. It makes noises like, I don't know, like it's possessed. It clicks and whirs and buzzes and moves paper through and then back out again and then through and then back out again. And then it says, not going to do it. So it drives me nuts. But then when it prints properly, it's a dream. Quiet, quick. Yeah, I love it and I hate it. So enclosure not needed for PETG. Well, there you go. I didn't know that. Oh, and that's all you print. Well, Chris was telling me that the stuff I needed to be able to print, you needed to be able to hit with a hammer. I'm not going to, but you need to be able to. So, yeah, I don't know if that was the PETG or the acrylic or what he was talking about, but it was one of them. Printers are hateful things. Contract that stuff out. Well, I can't contract it out. I mean, I need so many bits that I'd be doing nothing but giving money to 3D printer owners. That wouldn't make any sense. Hello, Borderland Peppers. When did you sneak in? I saw you came last week after we were finished for some reason. Looking for fag ends or what exactly? That's cigarette butts. I'm from an older era. Anyway, Gustavo's here. Welcome. How's it going, Gustavo? How are the pictures? I've been waiting to see some of your work. Need to see it. Need to see it. Whose question did I miss last week and kept missing it till the end and everybody had gone home? Remind me who that was and what your question was and I'll answer it now. I can't remember. Jim, how's it going? Number 2 from Jim. Rob also says number 2. I am not even going to try to count. Art says number 2. I'm hoping that we'll get an honest and accurate appraisal from the boss. We'll see in a second. All right. Speed isn't an issue unless you have volume concerns. Yeah, probably not. It's probably not an issue, come to think of it. Though it would be nice. I mean, some of these things are really slow. Well, yeah, you know more than I do because I don't have one. Let me see what we have here. See, I'm learning a lot already just from reading it, reading your comments. Yeah, learning the CAD is the thing. Yes. And that I have already started. I've already started learning Fusion 360, and it's about as easy as, I don't know, brain surgery. No, brain surgery is easier. Yeah, it's hard. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, I'm having trouble with it. I might be a bit old for that. I'm liking the sound of Tinkercad more and more. But no, I'm going to stick with 360. My friend Mike and I are both going to learn it, and we're going to make it a competition. So I'll probably do quite well at that. But yeah, that's what we're going to try, is both learning the Fusion 360, because apparently that's the one if you want to make accurate parts. And yeah, most people agree. And we'll see. I'm seeing a lot of 2s. That's good. Oh, Jim, you have a bamboo. So does Graham in Scotland, in England. So that's 2 people I know with a bamboo. Do you like it, or did it not arrive yet, or did it arrive broken, or did they send it to somebody else? You need to tell me. It's important. All right. Let me see. Hernando, how are you, my friend? How do you get the chip on the same parallel plane as the camera sensor, or does it not matter because you're stacking? Oh no, it very much matters. The angle of the chip is everything. Now, historically, if you go back and look at my videos, I will tell you, mount the chip flat. Use double-sided tape, or if you're going to put it on a slide, or use a vertical rig, so that the chip is always absolutely as flat as you can get it, like this one at the top corner. That's what you want, because that way you need fewer shots. You still need dozens, sometimes even hundreds of shots, depending on the chip. Some of the really thick ones with a lot of architecture on them, you want a lot of very small steps. And if you aren't perfectly flat, if you're even tilted the slightest bit, then it adds hundreds of shots to your stack. I'm saying, no, the complete opposite. Now I want you to tilt it at different angles to get a creative effect that I didn't even know existed. And boy, some of them are dramatic. So yeah, you are deliberately doing this. Now let me say, when Rick was doing it with a very slight tilt to do the stereo, he was doing 1 micron steps. I started out doing 1 micron steps, and the first stack I did was 780 shots. And it was only partial. My flashes started to fail. So I went to 2 microns and have not been disappointed. Though, yeah, one day I'm going to figure out a way to get mains powered flash that is small and positionable like the MF12s, so that I can do these kind of monster stacks. But yeah, it's the idea is you want to be able to tilt it and change the angles. I didn't show you this. 2 things I didn't show you. I didn't show you this either. I wanted to let you know that I have finished most of my review for the Micromate, the Wii Macro positioning focus knob adjuster for the microscope. I tested it on a set of machines that I made because I didn't have a microscope, but I have a microscope coming tomorrow. It's not mine, but I will be using it to film the last bit of this video. So yes, I am going to be giving you a review on the Micromate from Wii Macro, and William has been very patient in letting me keep this long enough to get the microscope thing sorted out. But that is coming your way. And yeah, it's going to be kind of interesting because this. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Don't make plans for that day. It's going to be a long video. The other thing I made, shall I go get it? Break the rule and go get it? I think I will. The other thing I made was from the last microscope that slowed down in my neighborhood. Let me show you. I think I've got a better camera shot of that. So this is the bad boy. I would zoom in. One day I'm going to get a control to where I can zoom that camera, but I can't reach up there. It's way up there. But this is it. It's just an old focus block from a cheap what do you call it, thrift store microscope I found. But I cut parts off and just drilled out a little metal plate here, steel plate, and put a grabber on it that changes angle. It's kind of like a poor man's goniometer, and this allows me to position my slide anywhere I want it. I had a rotation table on it too, but the screws got in the way, and I've got to make another part for it. But yeah, so that's another thing that I invented during my downtime. It doesn't have a fine focus, but this is just to get it up into the right area. So it's good. That Didn't cost anything. This is the base plate out of a dictaphone foot pedal. Nice piece of steel that they have in there. What else was I going to show you while we've got this view? I'll show you this. This is my photo tube that goes with the surgical beam splitter. So the surgical beam splitter allows me to look through the microscope and operate while you watch by looking at the screen. You've been looking through it. When I press this button, for example, you are looking through that beam splitter and that angled thingamajig. And I'll show you that actually because it's pretty impressive. This, where's my Allan wrench? I had an Allan wrench. That was nice of them to name them after me, wasn't it? Well, I've lost it and I can't do the demonstration without it. Okay, I think one of you moved it. Who has it? There's only one size Allan wrench that works for this. I did have it, I swear. Can anybody see it? You can't make any noises, so I wouldn't know if you were looking at it. I might be the only one who can't see it. No, it's gone. Anyway, before I lost it, this piece here swivels so that the camera, I'm going to find the darn thing. No. Nope. It's lost. Probably forever. The camera can swivel up to where it's pointing straight down, or it can go all the way around, kind of do the whole Linda Blair thing. But it can also rotate in this direction. So you can have the camera basically anywhere you want it. I like to have it right here so I can look at the back of the screen straight on. Yeah, it's very nice. You can't see any of that, can you, from where you are? No, without the Allen key, I can't make the adjustment. I'll do it next time. We're probably running out of time. I can't talk this fast for that long. I know that I'm running out of time when my voice starts to give out. Oh, I didn't get to... I was going to show you some other pictures. Can I do that? Is there any important business I haven't covered? Yeah, I haven't answered these questions. Let me do that. Chris asks, you could experiment with that Bondic liquid and try to use it as a mounting medium for microscope slides of tiny bugs that would be too small to pin or to be glued. No, I tried that. That is actually something that Rick does. He uses the Bondic to mount tiny insects, and he does it beautifully. He's masterful at it. I am no good at it because it involves using two hands and then a third hand for the light, this thing, the ultraviolet. I have a very specific pinning method that I use that uses a tiny bit of CA glue, and yeah, I tried the Bondic, it didn't work for me, but you're right that other great minds have used it with great success. So let me see what other questions there are. Yeah, that was Catalina Island, Jim. You're right. Yeah, except the picture I got doesn't really look like that. It just reminded me of it. But there you go. It was nice. Yes, that Robert, you're right. The ones they are called the crab clamps, which sounds like something you'd put a cream on, doesn't it? Get a tube of the crab clamps cream, and yeah, that'll get rid of the pain and the itching. But yeah, that's what they're called, the kaolin crab clamps. I'm not going to call them that though. I'm going to just call them the mini clampers. That would be better, I think. Yeah, they're not. Oh, they're not available in Europe. Oh, bummer. Oh, well, that's too bad. But they are, well, yeah, come to think of it, Stuart's in Europe, England's in Europe, so he must have got them somehow. But he is an influential chap. You know, I've got a piece of news I am bursting to tell you, but I can't. It involves a lens, maybe, something to do with extreme macro, something that will rock the world. when it's announced, and I can't say anything about it, except that I'll be able to say more about it soon, a lot more, if you catch my drift. That's all I'm going to say, because otherwise I'd be breaking the law, I think. But there's something exciting coming. I'm serious. It's so exciting. So where did I get those wonderful clamps? Somebody asked. Jim asked. Amazon. 20 bucks for 4 of them. $5 a piece. Brian Tomlinson says, you've got a friend. Well, congratulations. I used to have a friend as well. He runs a 3D metal printing company. If you need anything in metal, well, yeah, I'd love to print stuff in metal. I work with metal, but yeah, 3D printing metal, I think, is probably a fairly expensive undertaking. I'm just going to go with drills and screws, I think, for now. I'd be interested in learning how he does it, though. That would be interesting. Everybody's saying thanks to Amy, but I can't see Amy. Amy, are you here? You are here. Amy5 showed up. I didn't realize you were here, or I'd have announced your presence as moderator-in-chief. And she's just put a link up for you guys, so follow that one. Good for you. So Jim's not had the bamboo yet, but after months of research, I believe it is the best you can find today. Fusion 360 should not be an issue, as I have used AutoCAD for years. There you go. You did vote for number 2 then, Jim, I hope. Good. Let me see. Do they include an Allan wrench with it? Yeah, they do, but I threw it away. Yeah, I've lost all my Allan wrenches. No, you don't need an Allan wrench for the... What would you use it for? Nope, there's no Allan hole on it, so you're good. Let me see. I haven't told you the background story. No, I haven't. I'll do it now. How did I get into macro? Somebody asked me, and I didn't really want to get into how I got into macro, because it involves a bad habit that, yeah. I got into macro photography, photographing metal, little bits of metal. And I'll show you what I mean. And now don't be judging me about this. These little things here are coils of metal that are used in the vaporizing business to vaporize liquids that contain some chemicals like nicotine sometimes, for people who are trying to stop habits like smoking. Bad habit. So that's how I got into taking pictures of small things. I mean, I'd done it for my whole career in surgery, but not tiny stuff. And then I got very much into taking these small pictures because I got into making the coils. They're fascinating and difficult to make. And I started out with really basic stuff like this. And enjoyed the photographing of it as much as I did the building of it. And then as my building got better and better, because I practiced it a lot, and my photography just got worse and worse. The better my builds got, the worse the pictures. And I was just using an iPhone most of the time. So I just made it my business to try to improve the photography to where it would do justice to the builds, because I was winning competitions for the building. This stuff is hard to... Well, there's a picture I'll show you in a minute of how small these wires are. These have 13 or 15 strands of individual wire in each length of the wire, and they're long and they're difficult to work with. You know, there's some of them. They're ribbon. These ones are ribbons. So I've got 10 ribbons all stacked together and then wrapped in another wire, and I do all that by hand. I still do it, by the way. It's very relaxing, and that's what a stack of them would look like. And then you wrap other things around them, maybe another ribbon twisted like this, and you make one mistake and you have to start all over again. And it's it will humble you. It really will. wrapping wires, in a very, very specific way. This wire gauge, you may have seen wire, 18 gauge, 14 gauge, pretty heavy wire that you'd do crafts with or something. This stuff is 44 gauge or 48 gauge. It's much thinner than a human hair. Yeah, it's hard to work with. So the pictures are cool. The stuff was fun. The reason I'm bringing this up is one of you guys asked me about it because there were some coil pictures on my website. And yeah, the photography, as you can see, is rather lacking, but it is part of the past. And I thought I'd probably better fess up, and yeah, that's how I got into it. And yeah, and that's just an example of the work that I do. I got artistic there at the end, trying to show them off in a more interesting light after I bought a camera, but yeah, I soon actually stopped doing. That's a penny, an American penny, on one of these wires that's being constructed. I found these tiny little clothes pins that were only about a centimeter long, but yeah, that's it's a very engrossing way to spend a few hours. Yeah. And then ended up doing some photography for companies that make this stuff. And there's a place in South Carolina in Georgia that has all my photos on the wall. Yeah, if you ever end up there, you'll see some of these. So anyway, that's that little part that I was going to tell you about. So now you know. I'm just yeah. That's how I got into it. Look at the time, it's 9:01, and I feel like I've only covered half of what I had on the thing to cover. No, I probably covered all of it. Oh, there is one other thing. Does anybody have a camera that fits in this gorgeous case? This is the most well-made camera case I've ever seen. It is made of solid leather. It's sturdy. And the workmanship is beautiful. I found it at a thrift shop for essentially nothing. There, it's got the most lovely suede in it, and it's beautiful, beautiful. I have no idea what camera goes in it. It's a teeny tiny camera. It's small, like not quite this small, but the camera body, well, yeah, maybe it's bigger than that. I don't know even a bit bigger than that. But it's got a fixed lens thingy on the front. So it takes a lens and it's got a flash doodad on the top. I will give this to whoever can identify this as for the right camera. And if you have the camera and you identify it as the right camera case for your camera, I will send this to you. Because this needs to be used by somebody. This is absolutely gorgeous. It must cost hundreds of dollars or $100 or something. It's by a company called Mega Gear, who I've never heard of. I hope it's not just cheap fake Naugahyde or something, but I don't think so. I think it's the real McCoy, and it's beautiful. So there you go. I think it was a lucky find. We're out of time. I'm going to be back on Thursday to do an afternoon Macro Talk 2 as usual. And then next week, I am going to do both Macro Talk and Macro Talk 2 from Boston. Now, on the Tuesday, this one next week, I don't know where I'll be. I haven't made any arrangements, so it'll probably be in a hotel lobby or out in the snow, and I might not have a signal or anything. It's going to be a disaster, so that'll be fun for you to tune in on. I won't be having any transitions or anything like that. I might be on my cell phone, so I'll just do what I can. If something unforeseen happens, like there aren't any electrons where I am, and you show up and there's nobody there, that's why. Just stick around for a bit and then go do something else. Will do my best. I've got it booked and everything. In fact, I've even got a screen ready for it. That's for the Tuesday one. You can't see it. Yes, you can. Yeah, I've got that screen is for Tuesday, and then the one for Thursday is even nicer. No, it's not. It's that one. It's got bugs on it though. So yeah, they're the two planned for next week. I plan to be there. Oh, you know, I didn't announce the thing on Saturday, and I've got to do that. So I'm going to do that. Listen up. It's a chat GPT kind of thing. There is a brand new AI art thing. It's called Firefly. It's from Adobe, and it is so cool. You have got to see it, but you can't see it because there's a waiting list a mile long to get beta privileges. But I have beta privileges and I've been using it, and it is fun. So we're having a battle on Saturday. It's a Patreon battle. It's going to be the Americans versus the Europeans. It's the US versus, it's like the Ryder Cup, only not boring and nothing to do with golf. And what we're going to do is the teams, I'm going to be on both teams, are going to give me the words to make the art, and I'll make the art using Firefly. And then at the end, we'll see who wins, who has the best picture. It is going to be hysterical and fun, and probably only last about 2 minutes, and then we'll just talk about something else for 2 hours. But that is on Saturday. If you have pride for your nation or your area of the world and you want to fight for them, then show up on Saturday. If you're not a Patreon member, become one, because gosh darn it, you really need to, because it will help me. But we will have fun. Firefly, Saturday, Battle of the Century, whatever, 8 o'clock in the morning. Okay? There is an invite and links and everything over on Patreon. Okay, guys, I have got to go. Boy, I am worn out. That was a tough hour, but nothing blew up. Nothing went wrong. Is that good? Let's have a hand of applause. Somebody will probably have reminded you to give me a thumbs up on the way out the door. So please do. I appreciate it. And I will see you from Boston next week if I don't see you on Saturday. Until then, take care. Stay safe. Thank you, Bud. Thank you, Amy. I could not do this without you. I really appreciate your help and your support. Thanks. See all of you later on. Jan, I'll give you a call. Take care. Goodbye.